And I've, oh, okay. I use Joomla for my own personal sites as well as my company sites. And now I'm helping another company that I'm a director on the board of to migrate their sites from a very old server using very old languages to Joomla to make them easier to maintain. So primarily in here to catch up on Joomla. I haven't done much with Joomla in several years, but other than maintain my sites.
Thank you, Alan. I'm glad you're here today. Anna, want to say hello?
Yes, I'm Anna from Sweden, and I'm a graphic designer. And I started, so I'm an old school graphic designer, not a UX designer. And I started with Joomla to complement to my graphic design. Maybe, yeah, more than 10 years ago. But I'm not a developer. I'm still a graphic designer. And also because I love the Joomla community. And before that, we used to have a community in Sweden, but we hardly do anymore, unfortunately, or sadly.
Excellent. Why don't we go to Joe? Want to say hello?
Right. So I'm Joe. I'm from Canada. One of my usernames is Joe Joomla. So guess what? I do Joomla websites. There you go.
Okay. That's quick. And actually, I'm going to jump down to Olivier because I know he needs to pop out. So why don't we give you a chance to say hello?
Oh, thank you. Well, hello, Olivier from New York, and I am the release list manager with Sheriel SD. So if you have any question for us, if you have concerns about the next release, feel free to contact me or Sheriel about it. Thank you.
So just to touch on that again, if you are in Joomla 4 or even Joomla 3.10 and you see things that maybe you wish it had, you can reach out to Olivier and suggest it to him so that they can maybe implement it in future versions. And he had talked about it a little bit last meeting, but I have been sending him messages. Oh, I wish this did this or this did that. And I think it's great that we have someone willing to listen. So think about that when you're working in your latest designs, and definitely send it over to him because we are the users. So we want
to. If you have shortcomings or if you find errors in the code, I mean, please send your feedback. It's very helpful.
All right, very good. Frank, can you introduce yourself next?
Sure. Hi. Yeah, I'm Frank. I'm at the moment in Renton, Washington, but I normally work I'm on the central coast of California. And I'm a one-person LLC website development firm. Been working with Joomla since version 1, and currently doing several Joomla 3 to Joomla 4 migrations. It's definitely my platform of choice.
Well, you're gonna like the speaker today then, because that's our topic.
Awesome. All right.
Mary, do you want to say hello?
Hello from Washington State. I've been using Joomla since it began, and I have several of my own customers and do a little bit of subcontracting as well.
Very good. Glad to have you here today, Mary. Mark, Mark Holberg, do you want to say hello?
Hi, from Watertown, New York. I've been aching to start my own web design business, and in 2007, I took the plunge after some research, got into Joomla via Joomla 1.0, and survived that and kept going through all the successive versions. I think some of the people I still have from that time that have stuck with me, and now looking at what to do with for the future, as the Joomla 3 is going to be totally sunsetted soon.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we go next to the other Mark? Say hello.
Hello, I'm a Joomla fan too, to quote Tim Davis. I am my mother language is French, and as Tim knows, I'm not from France. I'm from Belgium, because he put the wrong flag on my first presentation of his channel. So, private joke. So I'm a Joomla fan. I've been working with Joomla for more than 10 years now, and since last August, I mean 1 year ago, all my new websites are built with Joomla 4, obviously, and I've already migrated several of them, several of the old ones, Joomla 3 ones, but not the majority of them, because I still have to contact the customers, explain the advantages, and well, maybe also propose new things, etc. So I'm a bit too busy at the moment. So, now almost all the extensions I use are J4 ready. So yeah, I could start really migrating them all.
You have more confidence than I do, but maybe after today's presentation. Ellen, do you want to say hello from Connecticut?
Hi, I'm Ellen Rothwax from Fairfield, Connecticut. I've been using Joomla for about 13 or 14 years. I do mostly small businesses and professionals, and I've done a few in Joomla 4 this past year, but I haven't migrated anything yet. It scares me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thanks for coming. Lisa, would you like to say hello?
Hey everybody, I'm joining from Northern Virginia, outside Washington, DC, and I've been working with Joomla since either 2007 or 8. I honestly can't remember what year it was, somewhere back there. It's been a long time. I built a couple sites in J4, actually had a launch last weekend for one that went fairly smoothly, except for an issue with the comm messages that I've been able to figure out. So I might post in the group about that later. And most of my clients are associations, membership associations. I have a bunch of HOAs as well. That's one of the sites I launched last weekend, homeowners associations, which are a trip to deal with. That was 2 years in development because they are awful. Absolutely awful to work with. At any rate, yeah, looking forward to hearing about migrations, because that's one thing I've not tackled yet either. I've only built fresh. So I'm a little trepidatious about that too.
Wonderful. Daniel, where are you from? Where are you coming from?
Me?
Yep, where'd you visit from today?
Welcome, everyone. I'm Daniel. I'm from France. I'm not from Belgium. And some of them, I know some of them here, but not everybody. So first, before starting, I would like to thank you, Robin, for this great initiative. Thank you very much. It's very, very motivating, because nowadays it's very difficult for jugs to have meetings, and maintaining a link between Joomla communities overseas. It's great initiative. Thank you very much. So I'm a Joomla user since 1.5, I remember, 207, yeah. And first, it was mainly as a hobby and for my own curiosity. And I've created my business in 2014, and that's my daily job since. And I'm so much happy with Joomla. So I do only Joomla. I create website, maintain website. I develop a bit. My clients are mainly companies, large companies. Currently, I'm creating a website for a French group named LVMH. I've migrated my website on Joomla 4 last year, and now I just work only with Joomla 4, which is a great version for us.
Wonderful.
Thank you
for joining us, Daniel, and you're
You're
very
welcome.
welcome. Anne, you want to say hello?
Sure. I'm Ann Noter Thomas and I own eCamera, and I've been working with Joomla for about 11 years. I started with 1.5. I work with small and mid-sized businesses. I'm in Syracuse, New York. I've started, I actually have 3 Joomla 4 sites that I'm working on right now. And it's kind of funny, this week, people keep calling me that out of the blue. They've been not done anything with their sites for years and years and years, like maybe 7+ years. And all of a sudden they want to do updates. So I may be able to just convert them to 4. Their sites are so old and, you know, start all over again. I'm kind of hoping might be the easy way to get out of this.
Yeah, agreed. Tim, say hello.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hi, I'm Tim Davis, Cybersalt. You probably, many of you know me from my YouTube channel. Been doing Joomla since before there was a Joomla. So I kind of started out with Mambo, which rescued me from Dreamweaver. And I been making my living full time from my business for 5 years as of the end of this month. And I just want to apologize for my camera because it's a USB camera plugged into my laptop, which is better than the poor camera on my laptop. Because I usually I'm coming to you from Victoria, BC, but I'm in Toronto. Hello, Joe. Here in Ontario for a couple of weeks visiting family. So I look like I'm coming to you from a hospital. But anyways, yeah. So that's me. And I've been doing a lot of Joomla 4 migrations, and yeah, it's I'm enjoying it.
Mike, we're so happy you got up early to join us today. Say hello.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, got up early today. We're actually on the road, so I'm on cellular. That's why I'm not using any video. I've been using Joomla. Well, also started at Mambo, and I'm currently starting a my first Joomla 4 site, and also switched template developers because the other 2 that I had a lifetime membership with have decided not to do Joomla 4 templates. So I'm using UTheme, and I'm having a little issue with them right now because I want 2 menus at the top and their system doesn't allow it without custom coding. So that's what I'm battling right now. And I'm from Los Angeles. I don't know if I said that.
Los Angeles, California. All right. And Laura, say hello and remind me you are going to be our speaker next month, and just kind of tell us what you're going to talk about.
Oh my goodness, it's already almost November. That's crazy.
Yes.
Okay, yes. I will be the speaker next month. I don't remember what you wanted me to do on, I think it was latest news enhanced and using custom fields. Is that the one that you guys really wanted? Yes, because I showed a couple of things.
Does that sound right to
I got
anyone?
excited about it. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, let me just write it down.
Right.
For November. So my name's Laura Gordon, and I've been using Joomla since about 2004. And I currently work at Rutgers, which is where I have the beautiful cement walls now that I'm on site today. And we manage about 120 Joomla websites for School of Arts and Sciences in New Brunswick. So we have everything from math.rutgers.edu to poli-sci, computer science, English, every department. We're the largest school at Rutgers. They're all Joomla websites, and we are in the process of converting them all to Joomla 4 in 1 year. So yeah, that's going to be really fun. And we're working on it. We're going to do our best. We have a team of 4, and except one of them will have to. So at Rutgers, they want us to use Drupal actually, and we're fighting against it, and we're trying really hard. And in order to throw them a bone, we've told them that we will convert one site into Drupal and show them what a painful and difficult process it is to do and how it's not going to work for us. But that means that we lose one developer in the process of the migrations we have to do. So it's kind of pathetic. But anyway, so, but we're doing it, and we're using Cassiopeia as the template, and we've created a really interesting template. It looks pretty nice. And Olivia, thank you for your help. And that's about it. So in November, I will be talking about different things you can do with Latest News Enhanced, with the table view, with the custom fields. And, you know, it's funny, it's very similar. I don't know if some of you have seen, Brian Tiemann just put out some videos on how to do a lot of filtering with custom fields and tags using template overrides, which is fantastic. My team prefers not to do the override option if we can, just because of the number of sites that we have to maintain. The tool that I use, it makes it's very similar to what Brian was doing. So I thought that was really interesting. And I'm not saying better or worse, it's different. It depends on what your needs are. So that's about it. Thank you.
Did I miss anybody? I think I got everyone. All right. Good morning. My name is Robin Clapp, and I am a sole proprietor, small business owner. And all I do is websites in Joomla since 16 years now. And I have about 4 or 5 sites in Joomla 4. And I've got another, I think 62 that I'm maintaining in 3.10. So this will be interesting, one at a time, moving them over when it makes sense. Before next August. So, all right, I am going to move us right on to our Spotlight member today, and Paul's going to take 10 minutes. Paul, I will time you and just give you a 2-minute heads up when we get towards the end. You're free to share the screen if you'd like to, and I don't know if we've picked a Spotlight member for next month, but think about it while he's doing his presentation. And if you'd like to volunteer, let us know at the end of the meeting. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm probably going to be a little bit short just because I'm like everybody else. I want to get to hear what Mark has to say about migrating, because I'm just really anxious about that. And so, yeah, my name is Paul Search. I'm the owner and chief copywriter and chief cook and bottle washer at Three Cats Marketing. So what I'm going to talk about today, just really briefly, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. And before I do, let me ask you all this. Show of hands, how many of you actually write the copy for the websites that you design? Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of mixed reactions there. So as you can see, I'm really kind of more of a, I'm more of a marketing person than I am necessarily a strict web designer, although I do web design and build websites and host websites as part of the marketing process. One of the things that I really believe is that a good design is the first step. It's what catches your eye, but good copy is what actually sells. And I think we'd all probably agree with that. You know, people buy things when they read words that make them want to buy things. And so I just want to talk a little bit about the framework that I used. And I would show you the book I have, except I gave it away yesterday to somebody. I don't have it as a copy, but it is by a guy named Donald Miller. And I don't know if any of you have heard of Donald Miller. He is the author of a great book called Building a Story Brand. And it talks about how people really, how to use the elements of storytelling that great movie directors and great movie script writers use for hit movies. And the thing is that movies and stories are universal. And so they work in every country. They work everywhere in the world. They work for every kind of business. Everybody likes to be in their own story. And so what the StoryBrand framework does is it allows you to basically put together a framework, a story that you're going to invite your customers into. So if you write your own copy, or if you're just looking at copy that somebody else wrote, you can probably help them figure out a little bit about what works, what doesn't. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of the framework. And it's basically a story. So every story starts with a hero, a customer, somebody who wants something. They have a want, they have a need, but they have a problem and they can't get to the need because of the problem. If you think about the movie Star Wars, the hero in the story is Luke Skywalker, and he wants to be a Jedi Knight, wants to take on the evil empire and all of that. The problem is that he's not really trained very well. So the third part of the framework is that he meets a guide. In the case of Star Wars, he meets Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. And this is one of the big shifts in how we do marketing and how we present things on websites, is that most companies play the hero. And what we try to do is we try to tell people, you want to play the guide, you want to play the expert who can help the hero win the day. The hero does really two things. Gives them he has to show empathy and he has to show authority. He has to say, I get what you're going through and we can help, and here's how. But he also gives the hero a plan. And that plan needs to be fairly simple. And that reduces the amount of fear and ups the amount of trust for the hero. But as you know, people don't do things until they're called to action. And that's the other part, the next part, call to action. And we do two kinds of call to action. We do transitional call to actions, which we call lead generator, something you can download in exchange for an email. And that really goes into our website. If you look at our website, we have one that pops up. And then we go into a sales. We also have a direct call to action, buy now. I believe that is just seeing the in the chat. Yes, I believe that is exactly it. I will. I'll check out that, but I'll let you know. But I think that's it. And then there's success and failure. And I tell people when we're doing websites and doing copy for websites, if you don't have any failure, if there's no reason not to do business with you, there's no reason to do business with you. So you want to show a little bit of failure. What can happen if you don't do business with us? And the success, what happens if you can do business with us? So we try to pull all of this into a website, and really we find it very helpful. One of the things, and the reason I started doing this was because I originally started doing websites and I let my users write the copy. And I looked at what they were doing and said, oh my goodness, this isn't going to sell anything. It's a great looking website, but why would I buy any of this stuff? And so, I basically got into this because somebody pointed me into the story brand framework, and I looked at it and I said, really, if I tell a story and invite my customers into that through my websites, then I will actually do more business for them. And my goal, of course, like yours, is to help them succeed. I want to see my customers succeed. And bad copy and bad marketing on a website, people will come to your website and they'll catch their eye because of the design, but they're gonna bounce right off of it if they don't find something quickly that will tell them what you do, how do I get it, and how is it going to make my life better. And so that's really what we do. Again, I think I'm gonna keep this short just because, I really want to hear what Marc has to say. I'm really anxious. I've got about 5 or 6 websites that need to get migrated over, so I want to make sure I can do that right. But I'll drop my email in the chat, and if you guys have any questions or would like to talk more about it, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to talk. And if you're not into copywriting, and I know some of you raised your hands for that, please let me know. I'm happy to work with you guys.
You still have 2 minutes left if anyone has any questions for Paul, or you can reach out to him offline and chat with them further. Anyone? All right. Well, that was really interesting. That copywriting is your expertise. It's one of the harder things to do is certainly write I'd rather write in code than I would in English, personally. All right, so Pat is joining us. Say hello, Pat, real quick. And hopefully I pay attention to my bell that I have going off. So if someone joins us late, I'll let them in. But we're going to go right into Marc's presentation. You should be able to share the screen and press play, and you've got the floor. We're very anxious. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for organizing, taking the initiative of this Joomla user group. It's very nice to meet, even if it's not in person. Still, we can meet across continents and countries. So the topic is how to migrate from Joomla 3 to Joomla 4, and I'll show several ways of doing it. But before the how, the why. I mean, I'm fond of Joomla for more than 10 years, but really since Joomla 4, we reach another level. Let me share the screen, maybe my full screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's the first very big website I migrated. It has 3 languages, more than 2,000 menu items and articles. Yeah, a big one. And this runs, it's a governmental website. It runs on the server costing less than €6 tax inclusive per month, right? So it's not that it is performant because it would be an expensive server or whatever. And after migration, without anything special, it's just basic Joomla, okay, enabling gzip, and that's it. And I get, well, it should have been 100, but maybe my connection is bad today, I don't know. So actually it's 99% performance, 100% accessibility, 100% best practices, 100% SEO. And with Joomla 3, it would be difficult to reach such a result. It depends also very much on which template you use, of course, but Joomla 4 is so powerful thanks to the features, but is also so fast and so efficient. So it's really a strong point when you have to discuss with your customers or maybe for your local association for which you've built a website. That's a strong point that the website will be super performant, which in turn is good for referencing, right? So that's a bit about the why. Now the how, because that's the big thing for today. Do you also see my screen when I switch to PowerPoint full screen mode? Okay, because I only have one screen, so it's difficult to do everything at the same time. So actually this presentation is a translation that I made 1 hour ago of a session made, and there are 45 slides to translate. So I was quite quick. It's a session which was made by Mihail Marti, a guy from the French-speaking community from Switzerland, because we organized in last May, a Joomla Day France, for the first time happening out of France, namely in Belgium, in my town, Brussels. And we had about 20 sessions, and one of them was about migration. And Mihail made an extraordinary presentation. And so I've taken his slides, which were originally in French, to translate them and to make a kind of summary now for you. Because even if I thought before a session that I already knew all the extensions allowing to help for migration, actually I discovered several ones. So and after that, of course, I will mention them all. Maybe you will even know of others and just tell me and I can add them to the presentation, of course. And and according to your needs, you will choose the best tool and the best method, but at least you know all those tools which are available for us. Yeah, so about the presentation, because you can hear the original session. If you go to joomladay.fr for France or French, you can go to the replay, and there you have all the sessions available if it wants to load. Yeah, oops, okay, it's there. So there you have all the sessions, and as you know, on YouTube, you can enable closed captioning and also automatic translation. So maybe Mihail gave a bit more details than what I will give today. So maybe if you want to see his version, the original version by Mihail, feel free to go and hear it in French with the subtitles in English or in your language. So that's joomladay.fr. Coming back to the presentation then, before starting the migration, well, it's always better, unless you're working on a test website, obviously, but it's always better to work on a copy, on a duplicate of your website. So there are different ways of doing that. My preferred way would be to put that duplicate website on the same server, but in a subdomain, like j4.mydomainname.com, right? Because then you're in the same configuration, everything is local. If you want to copy paste 2 GB of images, is just a drag and drop from one folder of the old website to the new website. So that's the ideal thing. You could also do it in a subdirectory of the website. So this means mydomainname.com/Joomla4. But it's less ideal because some extensions work better if the website is at the root. And also then if you make a backup of the original website, you're integrating the backup of the subfolder. So, okay, why not? You can do it, but a subdomain is maybe cleaner. Also, sometimes after migrating, I switch my subdomain and my main domain. I just drag and drop the files from one folder to the other and adapt the configuration.php file. And then it's handy because the new website is live, the Joomla 4 website is live. But if people want to see, hey, how was it before the migration on that page? Because I think there was this or that, whatever, it's still online. So that's also an advantage of having a subdomain. Or you can also, of course, work on your local server. So here we mentioned a couple of solutions for local servers, but there are also other ones. To create that duplicate, there are different possibilities. Well, if you have a host having cPanel or maybe some other equivalent solution, there is also a one-click duplicate button typically. So sometimes you want to use that. Otherwise, everybody I think in the Joomla community knows about Akiba Backup. So that's the classical way of doing it. Or there are also other extensions like the one by Victor Virgel from Germany, Easy Joomla Backup. Or you could also make that duplicate manually. You just copy paste the files. You just export the database, re-import it, right? Why not? Choose your way. So I guess I don't need to explain you how to take a backup with Akiba Backup. Just one thing maybe is that the format, it could be useful to choose the zip format if you want to be able to unzip, to uncompress your website on the new development server. A zip can be easily unzipped with any file manager, right, on your computer or on your server. But actually, Akiba has its own format, which is JPA, which he recommends. Nicholas from Akiba recommends JPA because it is a bit more performant. It is better for huge websites. Okay, so for edge cases, JPA would be better, but like to make your copy before your migration. If zip is easier because you can uncompress your file easier, that's just fine.
Mark, do you want me to interrupt you with questions or should we ask you at the end?
Yeah, do it now. It's easier. Yeah.
Okay, someone in the chat asked if those results at the very beginning were mobile also. The one where you had 99%.
That was desktop, but the mobile is not far from that.
Okay. Very good. If
Well, you can
anyone
also
else
have
has other
100
questions.
on mobile. I mean, it also depends on the website, what people want, how many pictures and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, really, unless you do a really bad job on purpose, if I make efforts, I could get under 90%, but I would have to make efforts to get under 90%.
That's pretty encouraging.
That's the way it works. While before, for any other CMS, you have to fight to get above 90%. That's the global ID. So I will go quickly through the backup procedure of Akiba backup, because I guess you all know that there is a Kickstart, which is a little software you can download so that you reinstall locally on your distant server. Yeah, we can just go quickly on that. If you do it manually, you can export and import thanks to phpMyAdmin, which is the interface to manage a database. Okay, so that's it for the topic of duplicating your website. Then a few warnings before migrating is that in Joomla 3, we had different templates, native templates, which were bees and protostar. But these will be removed when you migrate to Joomla 4. They will be removed, but actually, because they are not compatible, obviously, because now we have Cassiopeia, which is better for many reasons, which is made for accessibility, etc. So actually, what I do before migrating is that I uninstall all the extensions I don't need, and also for the templates. Actually, before migrating, it's better that you temporarily switch to protostar, because then you are sure that after the migration, it is not your original template which is triggered, but it will be Cassiopeia, because it's highly probable that your old template is not compatible with Joomla 4. So if before the migration you select protostar as front-end template, at least, even if protostar will be uninstalled in the process of the migration, you will land in Cassiopeia, the new Joomla 4 templates, and you are fine, and you have access to the front end before going further. And before migrating, you should also check all third-party extensions. So we will see Joomla itself shows you what the compatibility is or should be for each of those, but it's always worth checking by yourself. And uninstall everything which is not compatible or which you don't need anymore, because even if I have always built very clean Joomla 3 websites, well, after several years, sometimes you realize, oh, that gallery tool, I've never used it eventually, and still it's there. So I'm not having 20 extensions which are unused, but yeah, it's a good opportunity to clean a little bit and uninstall all the extensions that are not compatible. So how does it work if we go for a native migration? So without third-party tool to manage the migration. my apologies. I do not have the time to, there are maybe, I don't know, 70 screenshots. I did not have the time to make them all in English, right? So these are the original screenshots in French, but I mean, obviously, the menu items look the same in all languages. So actually here we are in the menu components, and there is a update Joomla or Joomla update sub menu, and that's how you get here. And even if you check for updates, your website will say, oh, your website is up to date if you are on Joomla 3.10. The current subversion. So what you have to do first is to click on options. So the button on the top right, because there you have a drop down where you can say, where you have to select next Joomla instead of default, right? This is the option letting you choose which is the source to tell you is there an update or not. So we should choose next Joomla instead of default. When you do that, you're coming back to the same page, but then if you click on the button on the top left, which is check updates, if you click there, it will say, hey, there is a new version, a Joomla 4 version available, and it will give you some analysis of the situation. So like in this case, almost everything is green for the global configuration and the PHP configuration, except here for 2 orange parameters, which is display errors. Okay, on a production website, you don't want to display errors, but on your during a migration, that's not an issue. That's not a problem, obviously. So, okay, this is fine. If you scroll down, then you have more information about all extensions on your website. And you will have a mention of whether these are compatible or not with Joomla 4. How does Joomla know that? Joomla is not responsible for that. Actually, every developer has to take the initiative to have a J4 compatible version, but that's not enough. They have to declare it somewhere technically, right? And if they have taken the time to have a J4 compatible version, and if they have declared it at the right place, then the extension here will be in green with a mention that it's compatible. So what I mean with that is that if it's green, well, normally it should be just fine. If some extensions are not green, it could mean 2 things. It could mean that they are not compatible at all, that they will crash your website, right? So if you really need them, be cautious. Well, if you don't need them, uninstall them, and that's done. If you need them, okay, we can give it a try, but before migrating, absolutely, please disable them. So if you go to extensions, manage, you can disable an extension, right? Well, the extension and all the corresponding plugins or components, modules, whatever, right? This way you can migrate, you are safe, and after the migration, then you can give it a try and try to re-enable those extensions and see one by one. And if that crashes the website, well, at least you know which one is crashing the website. Because if you start a migration with 10 potentially non-compatible extensions, well, then it's a big work after the migration when everything is crashing to discover which one is causing the issue. So if an extension is compatible, is green, that's fine. If it's not green, either you can uninstall it and you do it. Either you want to keep it and you disable it temporarily during the migration. But what could also happen is that maybe it's completely compatible, but the developer has not taken the time to declare it, right? Or yeah, something like that. So but always disable them if you can't, if you don't want to uninstall them. So yeah, here it's saying that some plugins can cause issues during the update. Okay, fine. In this case, I was bold enough to click on update still, because he knew that the extension was compatible. So that was just fine. So when you are done, you click on update. It asks, I don't know, 3 times for, I'm exaggerating, but it's asking several times for confirmation. Are you sure? Are you really sure? So obviously you are sure. You can also, if needed, if you cannot, if just clicking on update cannot download the update package, you can also upload it manually, right? There is a tab called transfer and update. Just like when you're doing any Joomla update, you can always download the pack and upload it manually. So suppose you are on the plane for 10 hours and you want to migrate 10 websites. Okay, download the package and you can upload the package instead of simply updating live by calling the package live. Once you launch the update, sit back and relax. And sometimes it can become a little bit slow. Well, I did not experience that, but I mean, don't worry if it gets stuck for 30 seconds at 80% or whatever. Eventually it will go through. And once it's finished, then you have the new interface, the Joomla 4 interface. And if you go to the admin panel, so the first menu item on the top left position, yeah, for example, here it's a multilingual website. So, oh yes, one thing I did not mention, before upgrading, be sure that all extensions are up to date, right? It's quite obvious, but I mean, okay, have an up-to-date website before migrating. And here, everything was up to date, but still, right after migration, the website is seeing new updates. That's the red button we see on the right. Why is that? This is a multilingual website. So as soon as we migrate, actually, there are plenty of new language strings in all languages, right? So actually, your website needs to download the new language packages. So that's why you will have, maybe not for English only, but if you have other languages installed, you will have at least those updates to manage. One thing that you should also, speaking about extensions, one thing that you should check, sometimes extensions are marked as, are known as compatible with Joomla 4, but not all extensions have the same procedure. I'm taking an example. If you use Akiba Backup, there is a version for Joomla 3 and a version for Joomla 4. Just go to the website and double check how it works. In the case of Akiba Backup, don't uninstall the Joomla 3 version, even if it will not work with Joomla 4, because that's how it's made. You keep the old Joomla 3 version. Well, you are sure that it is up to date, but you migrate, and after migration, you install the Joomla 4 compatible version on top of it, well, next to it, right? Then you have both versions on your website. And then when you open the Joomla 4 version, it will tell you, oh, I see you have a Joomla 3 version. Do you want me to import all your configurations? Then you click yes, and you take the necessary steps, and it's done. And afterwards, you uninstall the Joomla 3 Akiba Backup version, right? That's how Akiba works, because in this case, yeah, you want to import the old configuration. Okay, my My dog is complaining. It does not like backups. But the procedure could be different for each extension. Some extensions will say, oh, please simply uninstall before migration, and after migration, install the new version. Or some others will say, well, just keep it there, but it won't work after. But if you just update, it will come on top of the old version, and it will be fine. Or some will really require to uninstall before. So you should check for each extension if you want to be sure. Like now that I've made several ones, well, for the most important extensions like regular labs, Akiba backup, these are important to me. I know how it works. And then here and there, sometimes I have other extensions, and I'm bold enough to say, okay, I just disable it, I migrate, and I will see later. I'm too lazy to go and read the doc, right? That's because I take my responsibility. Even if the website crashes afterwards, I know how to disable the plugin in the database, thanks to PHP-MyAdmin or whatever. But I mean, if you don't master all those things, how to enable debug, how to enable error reporting, all those stuff, or how to edit the database directly in PHP-MyAdmin, don't take any risk, disable everything beforehand, everything which is not sure.
Mark, we do have two questions.
Yep.
One of them is, have you done any migrations from Gantry 5 to helium hydrogen?
No, no, I don't use Gantry. I use a lot Astrid, and I was very happy with it. Then Joomla stopped it, but it was taken over by other people, and since then they have released, I don't know, 20 new subversions. So I will keep working with Asteroid when there is no budget to work with a new template, or otherwise, since I discovered UTheme, it is so powerful that I don't even want to bother with any other template out there anymore. So I'm still very happy of Asteroid, and I will keep it because it's J4 compatible. So for the websites where I have no time budget, well, it's just fine. It will work. Maybe 5 minutes adjustment for a couple of options, and that's it. But if I have to do more work, I go for UTheme. But as I was saying, I don't know about Gantry, whether it is J4 compatible or not. But anyway, the procedure before migrating is that you should temporarily switch to Protostar, so that at least after migration, even if your template is not totally compatible, you're on the safe side, because Cassiopeia will be enabled, and afterwards, okay, you can start to play with your own template and see whether it works or not.
Okay, Joe has a question. Have you come across any other extensions that require the same method that Akiba uses for updating?
To be honest, I don't even remember, because I do it live, and then I do it today, and tomorrow I forget. So except for Akiba backup, because that's too important, right? There, I cannot forget it. But for the rest, I don't even remember. Every time I rediscover.
All right.
I rediscover, but every time more quickly, right?
Yeah, and Olivier had to jump off, but I know Latest News Enhance has a Joomla 3 install and then a Joomla 4 install, and I think he probably has a process similar, maybe.
Yeah, like some extensions, the ones of regular labs, you just download one file, which contains typically both versions. In one zip file, you have version 3 and version 4. But actually, it is two extensions in one zip file, right? It's not the same. When you install, Joomla knows which one to install. It's made like that. But for some extensions, like Simple Image Gallery Extended by Victor Virgil, well, when you download it, you have to choose in advance, is it Joomla 3 or Joomla 4? So that depends.
Okay, and Laura said, I found some templates, although they work in Joomla 4, they have issues when editing from the front end. Do you do any editing from the front end?
Yeah, with a template that well, I found it with a template that was using Asteroid, which, as we know, Asteroid's not supposed to work, but it was a template my client picked, so I had to just get it. And then an older version of a Joomla art that doesn't use the newest version of Joomla art. It was a company, and it works great, but front-end editing, it doesn't play nice. So all I did was for my clients, the front-end editing pages, I just have them open those up in here. So I just created separate pages for them. So that was my workaround, so I could keep the same template.
Yeah. Speaking about Asteroid, I was cautious. So when JoomDev stopped, I was up to date with the last JoomDev version, but since then it was taken over and really well managed, and like every week or so there was a new sub version. So really it was not just theoretical, they are really doing a good job with that. And so before migrating, if I had to do it for an Asteroid website, I would go to the asteroidframe.work website, which is the new website for Asteroid, and jump to this version, which is the one by the new developers, because it is much more compatible.
Oh, here puppies. Frank has a question about a database question. Do you want to just ask? Go ahead.
Yeah.
My question is this, Mark, you mentioned that when you do the migration, you do it on a testing site, of course. So you create a subdomain, j4.domain.com. And then when you're done, you move the files, you drag the files from the test directory to the production directory. But my question is, do you deal, and then update the configuration file, of course. But how do you deal with incidental references in the database that might be targeting the previous directory or even the subdomain? Do you go through the database and just do some replaces, or do you concern yourself with that?
I just switch the files, right? Well, actually, when I create when I duplicate the website, I create a new database, because you could have several Joomla websites within one database, but it's cleaner to say, okay, one different database for each website. So at least when you delete it, you don't delete the new website database with the old website, because you think, oh, now it's over. But I just switch the files, and then I edit the configuration.php file. But actually it would work even without doing that, but I need to do that just to change two values, the one for the temp folder and the one for the log folder, because the path is the absolute path of the other version. So I just correct that so that the paths are logical and coherent, and that's it. And each one still points to its own database, and unlike in WordPress, for example, links within the website are hard-coded. So if you move a website to a subdomain, if you change domain name, if you put it on a local server, it can be a nightmare. Joomla is very clean, because all links are relative links. So you can just make a duplicate in a subdomain, everything works.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that in some cases, when clients are using the sites, they'll copy and paste absolute links, for instance, if they're making links from internal pages. And so those references in the database remain. And I mean,
absolute links to external websites or to this website itself?
within the own website. Like if they wanted to create a link from the about page to the contact page, to do a simple example, they'll go to the front end website, copy that URL and paste it into the content, even though obviously that's not the best way to do it. So then you end up with an absolute URL.
Okay,
for
yeah,
that
if
other
they
page.
really did it like that,
Mhm.
while I am on the subdomain on my
They'll be
temporary
they'll be broken
subdomain,
then.
of course, the link will point to the live website and not to my subdomain.
Yeah.
But as soon as I switch again the two websites, well, it will still work. So
Yeah,
Okay,
it
yeah,
only
that makes
doesn't
sense.
work.
it was
Yeah, it
done.
doesn't work during the transition.
Yeah, it was done in the
Right.
first place to put an absolute link, but after my migration, once I've switched my J4 subdomain and my main domain, it just works like it did work before.
Right. And then I can't think of an example, but I have found examples where the server path actually exists in the database also. Like I said, I can't think of any specific examples, but I've come across that before. And so I don't know, I don't like doing like global search and replaces in the database, but I've actually been able to successfully do that to update those sort of incidental areas. And I'm just wondering if maybe there's a better way to go about that, or you know, how's that? And also I'm thinking about this in terms of when you're working with a client who has an active website, the content can get out of sync. So there's also kind of that issue. Like if you're upgrading
Yeah, you have, I'm kind of doing that with one right now, and you kind of have to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I'm taking my copy right now. And anything you do in the meantime, if you're adding articles, you're going to have to do them on both sites, or come back in and add those articles after you migrate.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's what I've been doing also. I was just wondering
If a migration takes one day, it's easy to say,
don't do it.
That, okay, don't change or add anything today because I'm migrating, and starting from tomorrow, we polish everything, but you have the new website to work on. If you cannot do that because for different reasons, because it will take 1 month, but there are 20 people changing content every day, well, actually, then we can use the other, here I'm showing the native migration, but then we can use other tools to synchronize. I will show that right after.
Okay, thank you. That would be great. Thank you so much, Mark.
And sometimes, I don't know if this answers a part of your question, but after the migration, actually sometimes during a migration, you realize, oh no, they were doing this badly and they were doing that badly. And maybe, I don't know, maybe instead of putting links like /contact, maybe they've put HTTP, www, while it's not necessary. Relative links would be more universal, right? So what I sometimes do when I discover, no, here it's not clean, I use Regular Labs has an extension called DB, like database, DB replacer. And that makes it really much easier than using PHP MyAdmin, unless you're a professional in SQL, SQL. But it makes it very easy to make a change and say, okay, for the articles, I want to change Marc by Robin, and everywhere Marc is replaced by Robin. And you can fix little things like that very efficiently. Or before changing the database, sometimes what I do is that I use another of the Regular Labs extensions. It's not DB replacer, but it's replacer. There, it's not touching the database. It is replacing on the fly. So sometimes when I think, I would like to do replacement, but maybe there would be a side effect. You know, just like in a Word document, sometimes you replace one word by another, but only after you realize, oh no, actually it has also changed other words because there are longer versions of that word, which, okay, you have cases like that where, so it's a good it's a good way to do it. First, use re-replacer just to check your replacement, see if you don't break anything, if there is no side effect. And once you're sure that you're replaced, well, if you replace Mark by Robin, it's obvious, right? But sometimes, well, sometimes you could have Marcus. If you replace Mark by Robin, then Marcus would be replaced by Robinus, right? So that's why sometimes re-replacer is useful, just to double check before doing a real replacement in the database.
Okay, and that's also a regular labs component?
Yeah.
Okay, and I just wanted to throw in one more thing here in terms of, like, for instance, I have an organization right now that has a pretty big website, and in addition to the upgrade, we have to do a redesign because the template on the J3 site is not compatible. So it's going to take a while, and so that's why I'm kind of thinking ahead on some of these content migrations and things like that.
Yeah, but the extensions I will show after can manage that.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
Or another way, even without the extensions, what I did for the big website with 2,000 articles is that they were busy with it. I just identified the 30 articles that they edited during that week where I was busy. Okay, it's a bit stupid, I know, it's manual, right? But I just sorted the article by most recent change, and I saw, okay, we have 30 articles, it is dumb, but I will make 30 copy-paste from one website to another. But okay, this was rather limited, it's only 30 articles. Like if people are changing anything, or if it's e-commerce, well, obviously you cannot do that like you can do it for articles, but I will show it after for the extensions then.
Okay, Mark, thank you.
I'm back.
I think it's Puppy.
That was super helpful for me, so I hope it was helpful for others too.
No, absolutely. Great questions.
Yeah, sure. So back to the slides. So what do we have here? Because we were interrupted. Yeah, that's just a result. Okay, this is the update of the language pack or the update of any extension. Some extensions will say after the migration, hey, we have an update for you. You just click on it and everything is up to date. As I was saying, Protostar and Bees from Joomla 3, the native template of Joomla 3, are automatically totally removed and they are replaced by Cassiopeia. But if you go to the front end, you could have a surprise, is that you don't even see the menu module. Probably you have lost the side modules, the modules on the left, on the right, at the bottom, etc. This is because Cassiopeia has positions, just like Protostar had positions, but they have other names. So, or maybe you don't want Cassiopeia, maybe you use Asteroid, Gantry, whatever. Then, of course, what you will have to do is go to the positions. Yeah, here it's showing the different available positions of Protostar, for example. There, the menu had position. The menu position had the following name: position-1, right? Or the position on the left was called position-8. The position on the right was position-7. So actually, we have other names for position for Joomla 4, well, for Cassiopeia, for each template, actually, potentially. So what you should do is go to the backend. Here are the different names for, oh yeah, okay. Maybe I can show it live. Let me log in into some websites. Okay. Ooh, too many passwords, right? Wait, because I have the stuff here just in front of me. Yeah. So actually, the modules are in content modules. After a migration, you could say, okay, I will move all the, I can select a position. Let's say I want to move all my modules which were in, I don't know, position 7. Do I have that? No, I don't have any. In footer, I don't. Okay, maybe the old position was called footer. I can select them. I select them all. And with the button action, I can say batch, and I can assign them a new position. So if the old position bottom 1 is now called footer 1, I can play it like that. Well, just take a sheet of paper and a pencil and write the position that you are really using, the modules you are really using, and from where to where they should go. And if you proceed like I'm showing here, it's really a matter of a few minutes to have everything appearing again in the right position on a new website, right? So back to the presentation, and speaking about Cassiopeia, I've made a detailed presentation about Cassiopeia, which is available on slides.wordweb.be. With I have about 30 presentations, many about custom fields, but also this one about Cassiopeia. And for example, I have there a very detailed image of all the available position in Cassiopeia. If you're sticking to Cassiopeia, which I recommend, Cassiopeia is excellent, especially if accessibility is important, like for public governmental websites, etc. ProStar is super performant and accessible. And otherwise, since I've discovered UTheme, I can only recommend UTheme if you need something more advanced. So for the positions, that's all the positions we have in Cassiopeia. Then this was the native migration, and it works fine. I've made several migrations this way, right? The native way. But I was doing it like that because all the websites I was migrating were my websites. So I knew they were really clean. When I've built them, I've never installed 20 extensions just to see what they were and then only use one and leave them all on the website. So the websites were very clean. So a native migration is fine. But sometimes, and especially if it's a website I've taken over from somebody else, I'm not sure I would want to start a native migration. Maybe so many things have happened on those websites that some people have hacked some files, have done this, done that. Maybe there are plenty, I don't know, plenty of crappy stuff in it. Maybe the migration is the right opportunity to say, I start from a fresh Joomla 4 website and I will import the content I need. The articles and maybe the users and maybe the images, etc. But in some cases, it is a good idea to start from scratch and find a way to import your content. And this is what all these other migration solutions propose. These are tools allowing to start from a fresh website and then import your content. So I don't remember, I'm not counting them. Maybe there are like 8 of them mentioned here that I will go through. I've not used them all myself because some are free, some are paid extensions. But I can give my own comments if I use them, if I have used them personally. The first one is free, is very well known, is J2XML, and it's an import-export solution. You can use it not only for migration. Sometimes you just want to export. I mean, you're just with a Joomla 3 website or a Joomla 4 website, and you want to export articles from one website and import them in another, right? Maybe that's also a way to synchronize, to answer. I don't remember who asked the question because I was not seeing the video with the names, but if you want to synchronize because users have updated their content, well, actually, you could just use any of these tools to re-export the articles and re-import them in the new website. So J2XML is nice, really nice. It works fine. I've used it many times for little export imports, even without migration. It takes care of users, contact, categories, articles, modules, custom feeds, tags, and also images and media if both sites, the source and destination, are on the same server. But the menus are not exported. So like the website I was showing having 100%, right? At the beginning of the session, in that website, I have 2,000 articles and more than 1,000 menu items. Obviously, I don't want to recreate by hand 1,000 menu items. So J2XML would not be a good option for that website for a migration. But many websites have only 10 menu items. Gosh, if it just takes 10 minutes to recreate them, you are happy with J2XML, right? The category tree is not preserved. This means that all the categories will be exported, imported, but flat. So if you had subcategories and subcategories, well, they will all be flat. So you will have to rearrange the subcategories manually afterwards. But apart from that, J2XML is really a nice solution. And at the time of the Joomla Day, he had released a beta 1 of the J2XML for Joomla 4. Now I've seen the other day that it's beta 3. So I think that to be able to download it, you have to register on his website as a beta tester. But another advantage of J2XML is that there is also, here we are speaking today, especially of Joomla 3 to Joomla 4 migration, but J2XML has been around for 10 years or so. So actually, he also has a version for Joomla 1.5, maybe even, I don't remember, for Joomla 1.0, it could be. But so it means that even if a website has never been migrated from Joomla 1.5 days, you can use this to export from Joomla 1.5 and import directly in Joomla 4. Yeah, that's a few screenshots of this tool, but to export and now to import. And yeah, there are options whether you want to keep the original IDs or not, things like that. Another tool, and I've not checked recently, but at the day of the Joomla Day, it was not working yet, or it was working partially, maybe on some websites and not on some others. JUpgrade has been around for years, but I think that the developer is not very active anymore, but he had taken the first steps for to make it J4 ready, but maybe some stuff are not working perfectly. So give it a try. Maybe now it's fine. I've not checked recently, but yeah, it's an option, and there it includes the menu items, contrary to J2XML. So that's how it looks like. Right. Another one, which is also free, which I did not know. The two previous ones I was aware about, but this one was a total discovery for me, is JMP import export. It works like J2XML, but it imports and exports JSON files, files in JSON format. And you have articles, and I think you don't have everything. But if your main concern is articles, I think it makes it, right? And the menus I see on the screenshot. But just go to the website and see whether it is a good fit for you. Then starting from now, so we have had 3 free extensions. Starting from now, we have paid extensions. And this one, actually, at the Joomla Day, after the session, we had a discussion with several people saying that SP transfer was really their #1. So this one is paid. But all the users who were there at the Joomla Day, like 4 or 5 people who had been using SP transfer for years, were all really super happy of how it works, and they have never had any problem. So I've never used it, but for sure it's recommended by many users. It's about 40 euros or dollars for a year, and it imports and exports, I think, about everything, menus included, and also the images when you give the FTP details, credentials. The category tree is preserved, so if you have sub and subcategories, it will keep the same structure. The articles are kept in their own category. The menu link tree is preserved. The files can be transferred by FTP. And also third-party extension can be imported. Like suppose you use AC mailing for the newsletters. Actually, AC mailing leaves its own tables in the database completely intact. Whether you use Joomla 3 or Joomla 4, in the database, it's exactly the same tables, the same content, the same structure, the same everything. So actually, if I wanted to do that manually, have AC mailing on Joomla 3 and have it work on a fresh website on Joomla 4, I could just take the tables, export them from phpMyAdmin, import them in the new website with phpMyAdmin, install where AC mailing is installed, and it will work out of the box, right? But so this tool also allows to import, export database from third-party extensions. These are a few screenshots. Yeah, and you can also select, I see that here, and I remember that Mia was saying at the session, you can also say, oh, I don't want to export and import all the articles. I just want this and that category, for example. And if you really have many menu items or many categories, and you want to tick them, then you're better off to say display all than display 10 by 10. Otherwise, maybe you would have to restart again, because when you do go to the next page, maybe you lose a previous configuration. I remember somebody speaking about that, but that's also an advantage. It's not an all or nothing solution. You can select the IDs or select the categories, etc. you want to transfer. Okay, that's an example of websites after migration. Another one, and here I just know the name, and I've seen that Tim has made a session about that recently. Are you still there, Tim? Tim Davis from Canada? Sleeping?
Oh, no, I just have this off to help the internet connection. Yeah.
Is it so? You made a session about Migrate Me 4.
Yes, and after our last meeting, we were talking about this because Barnaby Dixon had taken it off because he was because when people were doing the migrations, they're running into the same problems that you would anyways with Joomla 4, and they were coming to him for support. But since then, I would talk to him, and it's being released again, and I'm actually helping him with the support. So,
all right.
and it, yeah, I do have a presentation on that, and it's, this is the one that I have been using because it very quickly creates a staging area of the Joomla 4 site, and then you can try things. And if you run into a surprise or something that wasn't working, you just go back into Joomla 3 site and make your adjustments, and then do another one and try again. You don't have to do the reinstalling or backing up and that. It's pretty nice. So
yeah, so the idea is to have a kind of staging where you can play and try, and if it works, you push the new version. So it looks interesting. I have no personal experience, so I will watch your session. It's more expensive than, yeah, this was 40 euros. This is 79 pounds. So well, it's twice the price, but it's still reasonable. I mean, anyway, if you're working a few hours or a few days to migrate and do all the stuff, because migration, there is the technical side. Here I've migrated a website for free for a school, and eventually I spent one full day, because the technical migration was maybe less than 1 hour, but afterwards it was, oh yeah, and the template, and I will customize this, oh, and I will install this, and I want to improve that, and let's enjoy this new feature, and let's configure that. So, well, actually the technical migration was quickly done, but afterwards, yeah, playing with the template and improving things and cleaning their content, because they had been doing some silly things and changing some options here and there to have a nice layout. Eventually it took me 1 day. So anyway, 40 euros or 79 pounds.
Anyone
does not
that
make
wants
a big difference.
Anyone that wants me to show that to them, I'm happy to do it, because it's yeah, it'd be easy to show.
But that sounds interesting. But you have a video available on your channel, right?
Yeah, but it's one of my live streams, and you know how long and rambling those are. So I'm actually when I get back in November, I'm going to do a lot more precise videos on that and some other things. I actually have a little thing I'm starting up as well for the site. But yeah, it is there. Or I'm happy to show anyone just quickly. That's fine as well.
Yeah, but as I was saying, everybody was super enthusiastic about SP transfer, but I think Migrate Me 4 is also very interesting.
Yeah, and Laura just made a point in chat there about sandbox mode or safe mode. Migrate Me 4 has a setting where you can set it to safe mode, and it turns off all of the non-core extensions. So then when you go into the staging area, the back end is working, and then you can deal with things. So that's really nice, because a lot of the surprises that happen is you click, okay, go ahead and migrate, and you get an error says, oh, such and such, you get a 500 error, and it's because there's some little obscure clock that was in your admin panel that you forgot to turn off in plugins or something like that.
And that's a good point you're making. When I was saying previously, oh, check that all your extensions are compatible, or whether there are extensions that you can uninstall, etc. A good way to do that, here I'm showing it in Joomla 4, but in Joomla 3, it's the same logic. If you go to extensions manage here in Joomla 4, what I do, wait, I should unzoom a bit. No, I'm not unzooming. Wait, because I have only one screen and everything takes too much place.
Did you turn off some of the columns?
No, I will toggle here. Right. You can, the last column is the ID of the extensions. But wait, I want to move this, right, so that Here I can go on the right. Okay, so you have the ID. You can sort. Well, either you use the drop down and select ID descending. Either you're too lazy to do that and you click twice on ID, and then you have the most recent first. So that's a good way to make a complete checkup of all the extensions you or your users have ever installed. And then you can say, hey, but I don't need this one, and uninstall or disable if you're unsure. But that's a good way to be
And you're talking about doing
exhaustive.
that. You're talking about doing that in 3 before you migrate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's a
'cause
good
you're-
way to be sure to spot all of them. Yeah.
Okay, can I just want to highlight what the sandbox concept means. So I want you to imagine I have 120 websites, right? So I have a website that's working well in Joomla 3, okay? I don't want to turn stuff off in Joomla 3 in order to upgrade to Joomla 4. So what the sandbox gives me the ability to do is basically I can install Migrate Me 4, keep the site up and running so that it's live, my computer science site, my English site, it's all happy and good. I'm only making those investigative work that Marc is talking about in the subfolders, and it does it for you automatically. So it does the subfolder and creates all the database tables in the same database. So that way you basically have a play area to do all of the work. And what Marc mentioned is great by, creating a subfolder, but this does it for you. And then when I'm ready to hit live, it basically overwrites the 3 site, whatever it does. So then boom, I'm working in one snap. So it may take a while to go to Joomla 4, but that way you're not ruining your Joomla 3 site at the same time, right? Like if you made a copy and you had to uninstall stuff in Joomla 3, you may get to the point where you're like, okay, I don't even know what I've done, So at least this way you have them both running at the same time. So, and I know we're going to be trying out with the sandbox. So Tim's video probably doesn't talk about the test mode. I'm using the wrong term. The safe mode, because I don't think it really existed at that point, or it didn't exist as well.
I think it did, but like most of my live streams, I was just kind of throwing myself into it. And I think well into the live stream after everyone's asleep, that's when I discovered safe mode. So the one, not the hijack things, but the one other thing I say is the most that you can get upgraded that's Joomla 4 compatible when you're in 3, the happier you'll be. So for we're using template creator CK, and because there's some people like yesterday, there's 2 people that had Joomla Shack templates and Joomla Shack's not doing their templates for 4, but they like the look of their site. So we're recreating the exact look using template creator CK. We do it in Joomla 3. And then when you migrate to 4, all you have to do is go into template creator CK and change the setting for that template to be Joomla 4. It's just a toggle, and then it works on the new site. So it saves having to, okay, now I've got Cassiopeia, now I need to redo my template and something else. Get as much as you can working in Joomla 3 that's Joomla 4 compatible. And then when you do your migration, then you've just got your little things left to do.
Yeah, I also had in the same direction. I also had a chat this summer with Elisa Fulton, because well, as you might know, she's very good at overrides, right? So she can do whatever she wants. But actually, now that she has to migrate websites, she has websites with so many overrides that checking all those overrides, because the Joomla 3 code has changed, so she could redo them. If she was able to do it for Joomla 3, she can do them for Joomla 4. But it takes time. It's just time consuming to check the code, see what she had customized, and then adapt the Joomla 4 code to re-customize those files. So she was saying, on the websites where I use UTheme, actually, UTheme is compatible both with Joomla 3 and 4, and so it's so easy. So indeed, that's a good point when you choose, and I'm not sponsored by anyone, but if you choose a template like template creator CK, like UTheme, like Asteroid, I don't know about the others, probably there are others, but if you choose templates in general, which are compatible, which are well maintained, and which are compatible with Joomla 3 and Joomla 4, it makes it easier. So that was Migrate Me, and I'm happy to hear that many people are happy about it. So that's a second very good option. What do we have next? JMigrator name. I've never used it, so I cannot really comment very much. So the link is there, and it also allows to migrate data from several extensions by adding plugins. So $39 a year, and each plugin is $10 each. So it could also be a good option, but I cannot give more comments since I have no experience with it. Another one is vData. Here it's you have to install it on both websites, Joomla 3 and Joomla 4. And the idea is actually, I think that this one and the next one are more in the logic of exporting the database and re-importing the database. So they are closer to the database. Oh, I've not translated that, sorry. But I cannot comment more. And this one I know very well, not especially for migrating, but more when you want to import content from CSV file or automatically from an external file, whatever. ROCSVI by Roland Dalmuurder from the Netherlands. That's a really well-coded, excellent extension to import and export your content in general. But so also in the case of a migration, it works closely with the database. And Mihai was explaining, because I have no personal experience, but he was explaining, for example, you could say, hey, but if it exports the database and imports the database, I could just do it myself. I export content and import content. But in the database, you have joins, right? You have different tables having joins, which are linked together. And here, this extension takes automatically care of these joins because it has a model. It knows how different tables work together and makes the necessary links between the tables. And even, for example, it manages, I don't remember, but let's say it manages K2. I think it manages K2. It has the model ready to use for K2, to import and export K2. Let's say you use an e-commerce based on HikaShop. Oh, maybe Roland has not developed the model, prepared the model for HikaShop. But actually, you can use the tool and say, hey, in HikaShop, it uses this and that table. Oh, 1 second, somebody's at the door. And I'm alone.
We're going a little bit over on the meeting, but I'm assuming everyone's still engrossed, I think, in what he's talking about, so I let it go long. It looks like we might be wrapping up soon. Is that correct?
Sorry.
Everyone's good.
There's only the dog and I, so nobody can open the door for me. So I was saying, Mihai was saying, for example, it does not manage HikaShop from out of the box, but it can configure it to say, hey, in HikaShop, it uses this and that table, and so that ROCSVI can also manage HikaShop, which is not managed out of the box. So it's quite powerful beyond migration, generally for import, export. Yeah, so as a summary, the two methods we have when you want to migrate is either use the Joomla's native migration system or use a third-party extension. If you use a native one, it's nice, but you'd better be sure that the website is quite clean, that people have not hacked files, that you don't have, I mean, maybe the website has been migrated from Joomla 1.5 to Joomla 2.5 to Joomla 3 and then to Joomla 4. Then maybe you would be better off starting from a fresh website where you're sure that you won't lose time debugging some stuff coming from a ghost from the past, right? When you use third-party extensions, there are nice solutions like J2XML, which are free, other more advanced solutions which are paid but not expensive. So yeah, that's it. And whatever the method you use, unless you keep the same template, of course, you will have most of the time to reposition the modules, to change the position of the modules. So don't forget that. Yeah, and that was the session. And I thank Mihail, who had gathered all those information for the Joomla Day.
Anyone have any closing thoughts for Marc?
Yeah, I have a question. So when using Migrate Me, would that be to a new clean site, or would that be migrating the existing site?
I cannot answer because I've not used it. So
okay.
Wanna
Yeah.
take it? Well, no, either Tim or I could. Tim, why don't you take it? You're lead support.
Migrate Me, what it does is it copies all of your files into a subfolder called MM4.
Okay.
And then it duplicates all of your tables with an added prefix of MM4_. So it duplicates. So you same database, but the table, there's Joomla 3 tables and Joomla 4 tables, same file space, only the Joomla 4 is in the subdirectory. So you do all your work logged into the Joomla 4 staging area, and that changes that doesn't change anything in your live site. Your live site stays live, everything. And then if you're successful and everything is good, you click a button and it copies the Joomla 4 tables over your Joomla 3 tables. It copies the Joomla 4 files back over into your Joomla 3 install, cleans that out, and then your Joomla 4 site is live on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so this means that you're keeping your work, you're working on the original website, which is migrated. So if there are some crappy stuff, some ghosts from the past, you will keep them as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes, which
it's
you
not
can
a
then,
fresh installation.
no, but you can uninstall that stuff before in Joomla 3. But if that's still on your live site, you can at least replace it and then uninstall it, because the uninstalling still works in the Joomla 4 one. So you can clean up quite a bit there.
Yeah, sure. You can uninstall, but I've already seen, I mean, for websites that I've built myself for the last 10 years, I'm confident I could use that, because I know I've not done crazy things, hacking files here and there, or trying strange and dangerous extensions or hacked extensions, whatever. So if I migrate my own websites, I'm confident to use the native migration or a tool like this, which will override my original Joomla 3 websites. But if I take over a website from someone else, I think I would prefer to start from scratch and import. Then I'm sure that I will never lose time debugging some stuff caused by someone who did something in the past, but you don't know what.
That's a good point. Good way to break it down.
On the plus side, though, is that there's lots of sites that people have that have used a lot of older weird stuff, and they really want to migrate, and then that's a service you can offer them. So yeah, there's some simple ones, but the fiddly ones just charge. I mean, that's what I mean. We've got businesses, we're making a living, we're addicted to eating every day. So there's just some sites that are ugly and need the work, and in that case, I'm finding it a great tool, because it's like, instead of backing up and reinstalling, I just get in there and yeah.
But the big work, I mean, from my experience, is not the technical migration, but it's more when you revamp the website, because you take advantage of migration to propose something new, to have a new template, or maybe the same technical template, but a new design, and improve things here and there from the user experience. For example, I had no reason to tell my users who have been using JCE editor for the last 10 years to say suddenly in Joomla 3, hey, now I've deleted JCE, I ask you to use Tiny MCE. Since Joomla 4 has been released, all my J4 websites, I only use Tiny MCE. And for websites which I migrate, then I also uninstall JCE. And since my users are getting used to a new interface anyway, it's a good opportunity to say, hey, look, I've changed the editor. Okay, it's my choice. I'm not saying you should uninstall JCE if you're happy with it, but there are also good reasons to prefer Tiny MCE. But so it's also an opportunity to change some stuff, maybe the template, maybe the extensions you use, maybe to rationalize some stuff, and maybe to propose new services like the Joomla API. Maybe if I can make a link, because it's also linked to the import. But that will be in 1 month. I will be on the live channel of Tim Davis, and I will
the last Wednesday of November.
Let me quickly show you. I can move this on GitHub. GitHub. 1 second, Alex, yeah, J4 API. Actually, a few weeks ago, well, now for 1 month ago, actually, I was at Joomla Day Germany, well, in Germany. It was Joomla Day Dash, so Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, so the German-speaking countries. And there was a really nice presentation of Joomla API of Joomla 4 by Peter Martin from the Netherlands. And it's the first time, because I had already seen many presentations about the Joomla API. It's a bit too technical for me. So, but every time, even after the session, it was still too technical for me. And it's the first time with Peter's session that I had a practical example. Look, with these 20 lines of code, you can import an article in Joomla with a Joomla API, or update an article or delete an article. But it's the first time somebody was sharing a practical example of code. So after the session, I had a discussion with Alexandre Élysée, who knows a lot about from Martinique, who knows a lot about the API. And then I shared Peter Martin's code, and then he proposed some improvements. And then I said, hey, but wouldn't it be possible to loop through a file, a CSV file, so that we could import not just one article, but a series of articles in a CSV file? And that's how we started our chat. And this gave birth to it's here, the latest version. Which one is it? Smart Edit Subform. Which is the most recent one? I should check. So basically, it's just a one-page code, right? And just to show you what it does, for example, I'm going to this website. It's a movie festival. And so they have 175 films. And at the eve of the launch of the website, nothing was yet in the Joomla articles, right? They had everything in their Excel files internally, but nothing was in
Not much, I
Joomla.
don't think.
Not the films, not the sessions, not the places, cultural centers, theaters, etc. So actually what we did is that, let's go to the administration. Okay, so in the backend, let me just click on the CSV file. So actually they have a Google Sheet here. And in the Google Sheet, you have all the fields, is it featured or not? So a 1 or a 0, what is the title? What is the intro text? If you go further, what is the publish up? So it's starting date for publishing, publish down. Then I've created plenty of custom fields like what is the Vimeo or the YouTube video? What type of film is it? Who is the director? What is the year? What is the language, the duration, and blah, blah, blah. All those things. And all they have to do, thanks to the Joomla 4 API, is to click on this launch the synchronization button in red. And in 1 minute or so, we have more than 100 articles which are either created, either now updated. If they say, oh, here we've made a typo, here now we have the video, here now we should publish and publish it, whatever, they just change the Google Sheets. And here we re-click on the launch synchronization and everything is synchronized. So imported the first time and synchronized after.
Well, Mark, I'm gonna just jump in right now because we are getting it on 1 o'clock and this is a new topic, maybe something we should cover in a future meeting. And I just wanted to thank you so much for the migration tips. And a lot of people jumped in, asked great questions, and we even had a couple more approaches that a couple of the members also shared. So I hope from this, you'll find the courage to try to migrate a site or two. And of course, always reach out to us on the Facebook page if you're looking for help, or depending on what you're using those support groups to ask questions. I am looking for a Spotlight member next week if anyone wants to volunteer. And then I know Laura's going to talk with us next month on some latest news enhanced advanced features.
I did say last month that I would do it next month. So if you want
Okay,
me to
great,
still do
Tim. I
that,
couldn't
that's-
remember. For some reason, it wasn't in my notes. All right,
Yeah.
so Tim will be our 10-minute member spotlight. You can talk about anything you want. And Laura, so the next meeting is the third Thursday, which in November lands on the 17th. So look for the meeting invite inside of the Facebook events, and I'll also send an email to anyone who signed up for the emails. Thank you so much for staying on a little bit longer today and getting a fuller presentation.
Robin, if anyone wants to see Migrate Me 4 after you stop the recording, I don't mind hanging around after and just showing it, but that would just be an extra thing if they want. So
I'll definitely want to try that on one of my few sites. And if you don't mind, would you maybe do a demo during your spotlight if it's real quick?
yeah, I could do that.
Okay, I know that would be so maybe some of us could try some things and then have some questions for Tim next time.
Robin, how long for the latest news enhanced? Because that doesn't have to be that long for me.
I usually give half an hour.
Half an hour? Okay, I should be able to do it in 20 minutes if I'm just showing you guys stuff, and that'll give Tim a little bit more time.
Perfect, great.
Don't give me more time, I'll just use it.
Well, then maybe I should go first.
Yeah.
No, I can do it. I can do it quick.
We can always jump back to things too if we have more time after it.
Yeah.
Or if you prefer, if more people are doing migrations, I could always do mine in December if the group wants. So that way Migrate Me is done as the half-hour session, if that's what people are looking for.
Yeah, I could always in the invite see if anyone has to bring their questions. for Tim. If it's something that you're trying, we can definitely be a little flexible.
Yeah, so does anyone here care which would you want more time for Migrate Me for because you're in the midst of migrating, or, you know, any thought, like, you know, the group is here, so.
I'm definitely going to be
started
trying it.
migrations yet. So let's see if in the next 4 weeks, if I get some time to do it.
Yeah, I'm migrating sites like crazy right now. Some are Joomla, some are not. Some are Joomla 3, some are Joomla 1.5, some are whatever. So this has been extremely interesting. My big challenge is going to be migrating a seriously old Joomla 1.5 site that is live and in use every day to move it to a new server and update it at the same time.
The same guy that makes Migrate Me 4 also has one that's does 1.5 to 3. So there's at least a path from 1.5 to 3 to 4.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Well, this one has the template I have verified. I know it's available in 3. I haven't checked, see if it's available in 4. The bigger issue is going to be he's got 4 or 5 custom PHP modules that work with the site. And I've got to make sure those are going to come over and work, because this is on an extremely old Linux PHP MySQL system.
I put my email in chat. I'm really always happy to talk with people. Sometimes it gives me ideas for videos for my channel, other times than that. So I'm super happy to have people contact me and do what I can. So with fiddly stuff like that too. So
thank you for that, because that's extremely handy to have.
All right, so it sounds like I'm still gonna do the latest news enhanced.
I think you should.
And we'll do a short, you got it. Okay. Listen, whatever. So I'm gonna focus on the different formatting options, the search capabilities, and using dates. So that way you could use custom fields using dates and latest news enhanced almost instead of using an events manager, which is what we've been doing on a lot of sites now. So
yeah, I have one right now that I'm trying that with.
Okay, cool. Will do.
All right, everyone, have a great week, and I'll see you next month.
Take
Thanks
care,
for coming.
everybody. Bye.
Thanks
Bye.
for organizing this.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Robin.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.